All right, thank you for tuning into another episode. Let's go ahead and get into it. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of people take vacation during this time, but I think there's a lot of good stuff to talk about. So let's go ahead and get into it. So at the top of the headlines is the judge delaying the case related to Brian Flores. I thought that was Deshaun Watson. Nothing really to talk about with that. We'll see what happens with that. Let's go ahead and get to this story with Hudson and the Cardinals patched things up apparently. So it was interesting because you have Hudson who was unhappy with the Cardinals. You had a situation where Nuke Hopkins is going to miss the first 6 games of the year due to that suspension. You have Kyler Murray who sat out, and it looked like this season could go from bad to ugly pretty quickly here. But Rock Hudson said that he's going to play who's the center. Obviously, when you have a smaller quarterback as well, you need to protect the middle of the pocket. And then it looks like Kyler Murray, his deal might get done. And I think his deal is going to be very interesting because obviously, and maybe that's what Lamar Jackson is waiting on for Kyler Murray to do his deal, see what he comes in at, and then he's going to ask for more. Obviously, he's done more in this league. The Cardinals, I don't know. It's just something that just feels off with me with this team. Now they brought in Marquise Brown. It's interesting that Deshaun Watson, the year that Nuke left, he had one of his better seasons because Nuke is not really a separation receiver. He's I win contested catches, I body people out. And with those guys, it tends to be fool's gold. And I remember being a fan of Cam Newton when he had Kelvin Benjamin, who's not half the player, not a quarter of the player that Nuke Hopkins is. But when you have a player that can make contested catches, you just force the ball into them because, hey, he could catch it. I've seen him catch it instead of reading the field. So this might be better for Kyler, but he just has that limited route tree because he's so short. Passes over the middle are not going to work with him. When the run game is so much of a part of your offense, it kind of messes things up. And, it's interesting to see Marquise Brown come from a situation where he didn't feel like he got the ball enough. In Baltimore, you go into a similar type of situation where the quarterback has the legs, but they pass it a little bit more. So maybe this is the best thing to happen to the Cardinals, honestly. That division is, I think, sort of wide open. They, played a lot of teams tough until they melted down towards the end of the year. The Rams are the Super Bowl favorite, but you had Aaron Donald talking about retirement. And there's a saying, once you think about retirement, you're already retired. So you have that situation going on. Seattle is in a complete rebuild mode, it appears to me, with their moves. And the Niners, they're starting a young quarterback. So the Cardinals, a lot of things are up in the air with them. And if they can get Kyler back in before camp, obviously, if they can gel with Hollywood, this is his college receiver. If they can gel, then, they got some things going on. So a couple of people, my video yesterday where I was talking about Cam Newton to the Browns, a lot of people say, "Oh, do you seriously think that?" And I was like, yes. Because if you're the Browns and he gets suspended, if Watson gets suspended for one season, this is a Super Bowl roster. Up and down the roster at the receiver position. I had completely forgot that they brought in Amari Cooper. Peoples-Jones shined last year. The tight end position, the offensive line is stacked. The backs that they have behind them, the defensive line, the linebacker position, the cornerback position. This is a stacked team. This team is ready to win the Super Bowl. So if he gets suspended for a year, you have to bring any opportunity to bring in a quarterback who can play. You have to take advantage of it because who knows? Maybe they can go on a Foles type run. So I really think they're going to bring him in. Someone mentioned Seattle. If Seattle was going to sign Cam Newton, they would have signed him. I mean, they would have signed him by now because every day that he's not in, he's missing reps. He's missing days to learn the playbook. And you might say, oh, well, if the Browns are going to sign him, why haven't they signed him? Because they don't know yet. Watson and his team still think they can get 4 to 6. So you're not going to bring Cam Newton into a situation like that when it's only going to be 4 to 6. If 4 to 6, then you write it out with Jacoby Brissett. But if it's a whole year, then you have to look at otherwise. So because we've seen what Jacoby Brissett with the whole offseason being anointed the starter for the Colts, we've seen what that does. It's average play. So below average play, if you ask me. So Leonard Fournette weighs almost 260 pounds. I cannot believe that. But a credible a reporter said that the coaches were not happy, and that's an understatement. For him to play last year at 220, 228, and to have gained 32 pounds this offseason, that's crazy. But he just signed an extension. Like, that's, I don't know. I mean, he's a running back, so like a dime a dozen, but you know, Tom Brady, Mr. Discipline, is not going to be happy to see that. Deebo Samuel's contract situation. It's interesting. You know, he was asking for a trade and all those rumors kind of just went away and died. I was always thinking that the Packers was the logical place for Deebo Samuel, because Deebo, you know, there's a hole that the Packers needed. The Packers were willing to pay Deebo Samuel's, they were willing to pay Devontae Adams more than what he got from the Raiders, which is the top receiver money on the market. So they're willing to spend at the position. You have a guy who's unhappy, but then I'm reading reports that Brandon Ayuk looks terrible. He's dropping balls. He's inconsistent. The Niners, played the team that went to the Super Bowl tough. So they're thinking in their mind, like, hey, if Trey Lance pops, then we can go back to the Super Bowl and we can win it this time. So I wouldn't trade him if I was the Niners. They just have to pay. They have to pay what the price is. And for the Niners, it's getting tough because, you know, these salary cap leagues, they just really don't, portend to keeping your talent when you have them all, when you have so many blue chip players. They have a blue chip player at Fred Warner, blue chip player at the D-line, blue chip player, and Deebo Samuels, blue chip player in the left tackle position. When you have stars, all arguably the best players at their position, all asking for top money at their position, all with heavy guarantees up front, it kind of hurts you. So I think the Niners, they're just trying to keep their heads above water until that new deal comes, and then they might double, triple the revenue, and then they can carry a lot of the things over. So we'll see if they can keep him happy. I read that Deebo, part of his issue is that he also doesn't want to live in California. He wants to go back home to the South. So I don't know what that, if the Packers particularly help you, makes you closer to the South, but that's a story to look for, because he's obviously one of their better players. With Kittle, the best weapon on their offense, and with the young quarterback, they need everything to go full bore, or they're not going to win. And they definitely have an opportunity to win the Super Bowl. Rob Gronkowski's girlfriend doesn't think he is retired. I think he probably is. It's his body, his body is going to break down on him, the type of style he plays. But, for my money, he's the best tight end that's ever played. Summer League superlatives. My superlative is that this Paolo Blanchero might be like a 22, 23, 24 year old 23 scorer, in his Westbrook year. In his rookie year, I'm thinking about Russell Westbrook because I'm reading this. LeBron sending message to Lakers will win or bust comment. I've talked a lot about the Lakers. John Wall said something spicy today, said they've beaten the Lakers last 6 or 7 times that they've played the Clippers. So where's the rivalry? I don't want to keep beating a dead horse. I just think that it's obvious you should make that trade and figure it out. You're the Lakers. Trades. You have AD who's 30. You have Kyrie who would be 30. You could get 3, 4 years, 5 years with nutrition of elite play out of those two guys. The Lakers are always going to be the franchise that people want to come to. You know, if Paul George and Kawhi, if LeBron wasn't there, they would go there, you know? So, you know, DeMar DeRozan wanted to go to the Lakers. It's just the Lakers are the Lakers. You can always get talent. But the way that you keep your name relevant is continue to win titles, especially when you have an owner right across the block, right? Who wants to win now, who's willing to spend whatever it costs. Ballmer is willing to spend it. You have a well-funded owner over there. You have a well-funded owner on top of you in Golden State who has almost a $400 million payroll. They crying because they paying a little bit in tax. He paid 3 times what the Lakers paid in tax. He paid 2.5 times what the Lakers paid in tax last year when the Warriors didn't make the playoffs. Remember, the Warriors didn't make the playoffs last year. They lost in the play-in game. They didn't even make the playoffs. All right. And then they won the finals this year. So it's easy to say, hey, we're the Lakers. We got to think about our future. You know, LeBron, there's going to be a time without him. But what were you doing before LeBron? You know, so this is to be able to trade for Kyrie Irving, a player of that caliber, for Russell Westbrook was unfathomable an idea months ago. You don't look a gift horse in the mouth. So James Harden said, I'm good with whatever's left. You know, he's made a lot of money. There was a picture, Harden, when he signed, I think he's with Adidas, right? Adidas truck. There was a picture when he signed with Adidas. Yeah, a big truck like this when he signed with Adidas. And I think, yeah, $200 million. He signed for $200 million. His shoe contract alone is $200 million. You know, so he's made his money. You know, same thing with Kyrie, but you know, Kyrie, I don't think he's been that good of a partner to Nike. I think Nike is kind of giving up on him. His shoes are really popular with the kids. But he's made so much money. Now he wants to change his leg because as a player, as a pure player with his regular season success, if he had like 80% of the success that, you know, he had in the regular season, he would have a case to be the second best player of his generation after LeBron. You know, he would have his strongest cases to me as KD and Steph Curry. And you might say I'm crazy, but he's led the league in scoring multiple times. Highest scoring average since Jordan. Is just these playoff performances have just completely, you know, scuttled, you know, his legacy case. But if he's to turn around and win 2 or 3 titles to end his career, then it changes everything. So I think this is a really smart move for him, going all in, saying, hey, sign who you need to sign. And I don't think they're done yet. I think that they've talked about getting Aaron Gordon. And, you know, Tobias Harris has always been a clunky fit there. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get Gordon and they, you know, package Tobias Harris for something and, you know, get something else. So, you know, shout out to Harden, It looks like he's in Philadelphia. He's, you know, he's on his grind. You know, we saw him at the white party that everybody was at that you know, somehow my invite got lost in the mail. But besides that, he's just been working. He's been working. So that's good for him. Get in shape and, you know, let people know who you are. Let's see. Yeah, man. LeBron at the Drew League. That wasn't yesterday. That was the day before yesterday, right? I talked about that yesterday. Yeah. So Drew, did y'all see DeMar DeRozan? He was getting into it with some dude. Dude was clapping in his hand and in his face. And like, I understand you as a guy saying, I'm not going to be intimidated by these guys. I'm not going to back down. But also you get to a point where you're so combative with these guys, you kind of push them away where they don't want to get in the game because it's just like, fam, this guy's clapping in my face. He calling me out my name. He's doing all this stuff. Like, you know, I'll slap him. You know what I'm saying? You know, DeMar DeRozan, he looked like I'm about to slap him. So it kind of hurts you in that situation because, like, man, I'm not going to do all this for free with the risk of injury and me taking this disrespect from this bum. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I think a lot of dominoes are still left out there, and a lot of them depend on Deshaun Watson. And when he signs, when he figures out what his suspension is going to be and how the Browns can play it, that's just going to set off a chain of effects. And I think the first one would be Cam Newton signing it. I truly believe that. So that's it. I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. The game is the game. All right. Thank you for watching this clip. Do me a favor. Push the button. Hit subscribe. Come on, man. Push it.
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button. You heard what she said.
And do what's right. You heard her. Push the button. The game is the game.
So what's up, man? What's up with you otherwise, you know? The game is a game. Always.